Time is a strange thing. It can destroy you just as it can heal you. One morning, I received a call from my mother. She was in tears. At first, I thought somebody had died. I was right, and yet I was wrong. On that day, I saw time freeze, and my family's history rewrite itself.
Je m'appelle Lily, je suis née à Lausanne, à la clinique Montchoisy, en 1937, 5 mars 1937. Mes parents étaient Claire et Werner Schmutz, qui s'occupaient beaucoup de moi.
My mother spent her whole life in her house by Lake Geneva, as if she were refusing to leave the premises, as if someone had forgotten her there, and it would be best to stay nearby, in case somebody might come back, looking for her.
Quand j'avais entre 10 et 11 ans, je pense, j'étais à la salle à manger avec mes parents, ma tante Hélène, et puis on avait fini le repas. Et ma mère m'a demandé si je voulais bien me mettre près de la fenêtre. Et puis elle a demandé à tante Hélène sa loupe. Ma maman s'est approchée de moi et m'a regardé le nez pour voir si j'aurais une bosse plus tard. Et je comprenais pas pourquoi est-ce qu'on me regardait le nez. C'était très bizarre. Et elle disait à ma tante Hélène, je me demande si elle aura un nez juif. Et moi, je comprenais pas ce que c'était un nez juif. Je savais pas trop déjà ce que c'était être juif. Et puis en plus, je ne savais pas que ça se voyait sur le nez. Mais de cette histoire est né mon premier lien avec mes géniteurs. Et puis je lui ai posé la question si c'était vrai qu'elle n'était pas ma vraie maman. Elle m'a dit oui, c'est vrai, c'est la vérité. Et c'est là que j'ai appris que j'étais adoptée. Je me suis posé des questions, j'ai même demandé à ma maman pourquoi ma vraie mère ne m'avait pas gardée. Elle m'a dit qu'elle ne pouvait pas me garder parce qu'elle était trop jeune. Elle avait 16 ans quand elle m'a eue, que c'était des Juifs d'Allemagne et que c'était en 1937, ça sentait déjà mauvais pour le pays et que elle avait dû me laisser en Suisse.
And so they were reduced to examining my mother through a magnifying glass in order to understand this odd little creature. Evidently, psychology was not their strong point, and young Lily's identity crisis was about to worsen.
J'adorais quand mes parents sortaient pour aller fouiller dans les tiroirs, et j'ai découvert un dossier qui disait « Lily Adoption ». Il y avait une correspondance entre l'Allemagne et entre des avocats. Et il n'y avait surtout pas de signature de la mère abandonnant son enfant. Donc je me disais, vu qu'elle était très jeune, peut-être qu'elle a été forcée à laisser son enfant ou... Enfin, la situation n'était pas claire. Le mystère de l'histoire m'occupait beaucoup.
My mother's mother was a Jewish teenager from Germany, a certain Else Siegel, who had to leave her baby in Switzerland before returning to Nazi Germany of 1937. Why hadn't she signed the adoption papers? Had she survived the war? Had she been killed in the death camps of Auschwitz or Dachau? Who was the father? As the years went by, and in spite of a happy home life within our family, we all knew there was a missing piece to my mother's puzzle. After the passing of her adoptive parents, my mother felt it was time to put an end to this identity crisis. She decided, at the age of 47, to start searching.
Et on s'est adressé à la communauté juive de Lausanne, qui nous a donné une adresse à New York, le Hayas, qui est un bureau de recherche pour les Européens qui ont quitté l'Europe. Et puis j'ai demandé un formulaire de recherche que j'ai dû remplir et j'ai jeté ma lettre dans la boîte aux lettres de la poste de Cuilly. Et puis j'ai attendu. Soit ma vie continuerait comme ça, comme elle était, soit il y aurait un grand bouleversement.
He's my very best cat. So this is a very beautiful piece of art depicting the Bible, and inside are all the love letters between my lover and me. They're a bunch. My lover and me. Good time. Second time around. First time he was married. Can you see it? Mm-hmm. And this is a husband. Serious man. Good marriage, easy. Because if you're not too involved below the belt, things are easier. And my sweetest man that ever lived and made movies, it's Gregory Peck. And he liked me and I liked him. No sex. And there's my godchild, which is Natasha Kinski's daughter and Quincy's. This is the one who will never die on her 80th birthday. One Saturday afternoon, two girlfriends, whose name I don't remember, said, "There is the handsomest manager at Spire. So good looking. You ought to see how good looking he is." So these three virgins, and I mean virgins, pressed their nose against the glass, and there he was, very handsome, cuffling elegant. And I said, I can have him, having not a clue what having him means. We walked in. What is your name? Eric Seelig. What is your name? Else Siegel. Well, isn't that funny? We have the same letters. I was a little scary, you understand. It's a child that is behaving like Jean Harlow. I'm not yet 16 years old. But one afternoon, must have been a weekend, he showed me his room. Some seductive impulse made me put twin cherries over my ears. "Oh, cherries," he says. It's early for cherries." "Yes," I said, "but they're very sweet. Taste them." And he started to nibble on the cherries and went a little further, and there we are.
She's 3 years older than I am. She's 84, and I'm going to be 81 next month. Elsa is a teenager. She loved the boys, and she used to go out of the window so my parents wouldn't see that she was going out, and I used to threaten her, blackmailed her, so to say. If you don't do this, or if you don't give me that, I'll tell. And maybe that's what she still remembers. But there was never a relationship between Elsa and me.
And the Olympic Games were in Berlin. And I visited the Rosensteins, rich relatives, in Berlin. They lived there. Went to the game, saw Owen run, saw Hitler make a speech, went back home, went back to Würzburg, and I am uncomfortable, physically uncomfortable. I went to see a doctor. It was a woman doctor. She said, "You're pregnant." "Uh-huh," I said. "Uh-huh." So the next day, I went to the same street, Domstrasse, and bought a corset. In the meantime, they had arranged for me to go to school in Switzerland for the purpose of taking money out. Nobody knows I'm pregnant. Nobody. Eric came to the Bahnhof, to the station, with a big bouquet of red roses. He knows nothing. My mother and I boarded the train, and the train came to Switzerland. And I am dying to tell her about I'm pregnant. I have not quite formed in my head, what will I do? What will I do? I know about the 9 months. I do not know how it comes out. I cannot speak. I'm too scared. She leaves, she goes back to Germany, and I'm on my own. It was called Institute Ascher and was very, very Orthodox Jewish. I have a room for myself. There were children from England, there were children from Wales, from Germany. I had a room of my own, as I said, because I wanted to take the corset off at night. It was getting a little uncomfortable. And the discomfort increased, and I was really thinking and looking about for a way to kill myself, because I had no other solution. I read a novel, it was a Russian novel. You go in the snow, you lie down, go to sleep. It's very sleep-inducing, and you freeze to death. So one Friday evening, I went toward the mountains. I lay down, took my corset off. I went to sleep. I did not leave anybody. And I woke up in a hospital, stomach out to here.
What do you know about the Swiss episode? What did you know back then?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
You didn't know she was pregnant?
No,
You didn't know about her suicide attempt?
no.
I stayed 3 months in this hospital, which was a very good thing. I had no books, but I knitted. They gave me some yarn. I knitted a little yellow jacket for the baby. And then came a day in March where I went into labor. They used chloroform in those days. And then I passed out and came to again. And I must have said, is it a boy or a girl? And they put the mask back on. Later, I was brought in my room, and that's when I said, where is the baby? I need someone to take the milk. Where's the baby? No baby. The baby's dead. And the next thought I had was they must have buried it in the yellow jacket because the yellow jacket was gone. Gone. I stayed 3 more weeks in the hospital and came home to Würzburg.
It's a strange thing to hear Else say that my mother died at birth, especially from my perspective. Is my mother a ghost? The destinies were bound never to cross each other, but time passes, and things change.
So they were hard times already. The family was very eager to get me out of there, to get me starting a new life for them. But I was the medium to do this. I was scheduled to leave for America. You know, when people are persecuted, they find many ways within the group to advise each other as how to beat the system, how to get your money out, how to save your life, how to get rid of your children. They bought a toy dog and took the innards out and put the gold bricks inside, sewed him up again, and told me, who looked 12, you carry this on board. No one will question a toy for a child. And when you are on board of the Manhattan, you give this to the head purser. When you see the Statue of Liberty, you go back to the purser, you tell him who you are, he will remember you, and you ask for your dog back. I did. I entered. I said, I'm Elsa Siegel, I would like to have my dog back. He said, what dog? Now I start to worry, how am I going to tell them I lost that money? I don't have their future. I don't have a bank. I don't have anything. In other words, I am reinforcing my status as hopeless. I started to feel my guilt. I was being punished with this life for having killed a baby.
But things were about to change. Arriving in Los Angeles, Elsa was saved by a small town nearby, a place where anyone could reinvent himself and become someone without a past. The city of dreams, Hollywood.
I'm going to make a call on Rabbi Dubin, who is a rabbi at the Magnan Temple, very large temple in Los Angeles. And he called Mervyn LeRoy, who was making Wizard of Oz. And I started work in Mervyn LeRoy's house, who was married to Doris, Harry Warner's daughter. So we ate our meals in Warner's house, which was next door. One day, I received a letter from my mother saying, your father is in prison. Things are becoming very hard, very difficult. Please find a way to get somebody to give an affidavit so we can leave the country and come to you. So I went to Mr. Warner and I said, help me. I have to get my parents out and they need an affidavit. And Mr. Warner said, I wouldn't lift a finger for a German Jew. You have no idea how they treated us when we came from Russia to Germany. They were so afraid we were going to take anything away from their status. They wouldn't give us bread or water. No, I will not help. And I formed a plan. And I took little Warner LeRoy, who was 5, and taught him the prayer for Friday night brocha in Hebrew. They started eating, and I said, wait a minute, Warner has something to say. And Warner got up and sang in his best child soprano, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, and so on. And the old man cried. I said, a Jew is a Jew. Help me. And he signed for them.
That day, Elsa saved her family from a certain death. Their lives would begin anew, steeped in the language of Shakespeare, or at least in the jargon of Jean Harlow. But not everyone boarded that ship. For my mother, the trip was an inner voyage, a journey plagued by self-doubt, eventually leading her, on a clear autumn night to her destination. Eric would manage to flee the Holocaust for Argentina before joining Elsa in Los Angeles. Determined to erase the mistakes of their past, they married and gave birth to whom they thought was their only child, Erika.
I had made something true that I thought would help me over this. I killed my baby. If I had the father there, maybe he could carry half of it.
But Elsa was undergoing a metamorphosis, and this butterfly was desperate to use her new wings.
We were married 4 years. Nicely. I found nothing wrong with the marriage other than, and as I said that to him, it'll be wonderful to sit on the porch with you when we're 60 and 70 and 80, but it's really boring now. So we were divorced. Erika grew. Eric left. I did some films. I did some theater. I was good, but it wasn't as much fun as I thought.
There's something about Hollywood. It does change the rules a little bit compared to the rest of the world.
To me, for my money, absolutely. It's hard to communicate to somebody who doesn't know how difficult it is, especially in this town, especially if you're a woman trying to make your way in the industry. The pressures, the amount of attention it takes, the discipline, the commitment, and then you have everything else that's surrounded. I mean, after all, it is Hollywood where sort of anything goes. So there's this incredible latitude. People are bigger than life.
Samson and Delilah. Cecil B. DeMille directed. Victor Mature was Samson. Hedy Lamarr was Delilah. And I was the poodle that was placed behind George Sanders. And we came to a scene where Samson is shaking the columns and everything falls and everybody runs. There are about 400 or 500 people on the set. And I went to Mr. DeMille and said, are we going to have a rehearsal for this? No rehearsal. No rehearsal. Improvise. Well, I said, what if I get trampled? There are 400 people, and I'm way in the back in the throne. No, nothing's going to happen to you, honey. Just run. Well, honey ran, and honey got trampled, and honey never went back. I, in the meantime, am looking at Warner Brothers for another job. The editors took the longest luncheons. And I went to be initiated. And after a tall man promised us the world, this very short man said, bullshit. This is the only job where you have to wash your hand before you pee, because film is so black and so dirty that if you can stick it out, the 8 years which it took then, apprenticeship, assistantship, cutter, you've got it made. Welcome. And Fulmer was heaven to work for. Not bossy, not European, just fun. And I just listened to him for 6 months. And then we got married in Vegas.
It is around that time, in the early 1960s, that my mother and my father got married in a Greek Orthodox church in Lausanne. 20 years had passed since Elsa and Lily were separated. 20 years that my mother did not exist. She will not exist for the next 27 years following that wedding. Else went beyond existing. In the 1980s, she would create her own music editing company and become an indelible personality in the movie industry.
Elsa worked with me and worked alongside me as my music editor. And Elsa is maybe the queen of music editors. And there are a lot of people who wouldn't do a picture unless she was available. A lot of composers. When are you available? I'll change my scoring session to accommodate you. And there's still people, producers that she worked with for years and years, who, even though she's retired, will say, please come and look at my picture. Tell me what you think. I have a score. I'm not totally convinced that we made the right choices. Come and give me your opinion. And she does. She comes and gives an opinion. Her instincts are very, very good. No, she did lots of movies. She did lots of TV. One picture that always knocked me out was, well, two. Tootsie was certainly one. But the other one that killed me was On Golden Pond. She's been there with so-and-so. You worked on that, and you worked on this, and you worked on Color Purple, and you did all, and you just think, you've been everywhere with everyone.
Working in Hollywood, what happened to her was she was surrounded by very big, very important people, actors, writers, directors, musicians, composers, very highly paid, very important people. And because Elsa really always spoke her mind and always called things as she saw them, she over time gained the respect and the friendship eventually of a lot of these people. Because in the movie business, there are a lot of people that will just say yes and just agree with the big guy, the big star, the big director. Elsa was never like that. This is really how she met Dudley Moore, Quincy Jones, Robert Redford. These people were drawn to her first and foremost because she knew what she was talking about and she would never bullshit them.
Fulmer died in 82. A few years passed. And one night the phone rang. Lee, Tante Lee, my mother's sister. I have some very dramatic news for you. Tell me. The child that you thought was dead in Switzerland is not, is alive. I hung up with Lee, who told me about the article in the Aufbau. It was, I am Lily Kopitopoulos, I live in Switzerland, I'm looking for my mother, Else Siegel. I had no heart palpitation. I had no fear. It was the truth. I had a baby. She lives. Called. This is 4 o'clock their morning.
Je me suis assise sur le lit et j'ai pris le récepteur et j'ai dit allô. Et une voix très lointaine, j'entendais le chut que fait la distance, me dit
Are you Lily Kopitopoulos? Oui. This is your mama. They told me you were dead. I never gave you up for adoption. There was no baby to give up for adoption.
Et là, dans une fraction de seconde, eh bien, j'ai eu toute l'explication. On m'avait enlevé à ma mère. On lui avait dit que j'étais morte.
I guess they figured death is as good as anything. Make her die, make it go away. Well, it didn't go away.
Elle m'a dit, j'ai épousé ton père plus tard, and you have a beautiful sister. Alors tout à coup, j'avais une sœur. Et elle a ajouté après, je fais le montage musical à Hollywood dans les grandes productions de films. Moi, j'avais 47 ans, elle avait 64 ans.
It was a long call. I don't know who said what to whom, but it wasn't strange. It was no stranger than it is today. We were of the same flesh.
Et le matin, j'avais des fleurs comme une naissance. Tout le monde m'envoyait des fleurs pour la naissance de ma mère.
Before we hung up, we said, when? When? Where? When? And I, having seen too many movies, Frank Capra, everything happens at Christmas, I said Christmas.
2-3 jours plus tard, j'ai reçu un télégramme qui disait « Imagine que le miracle est une réalité. Je ne peux pas attendre jusqu'à Noël. J'arrive. »
I get off the plane, I see her right away, behind the glass. It's me. It's got no wrinkles, but it's me.
J'ai vu une silhouette qui ressemblait fortement à la mienne. Elle portait un training avec un long manteau. Elle avait les cheveux coupés comme un petit page.
I run back, because I want to get past the glass. I run back to one of these dressed up gendarmes, and I said, please, please let me go past the glass. I have a child there. I have never seen her. 48 years, I've never seen her. And I really want to embrace her. You waited 48 years, you wait another 2 minutes.
Elle est arrivée et mon mari s'est mis un petit peu en retrait. Et puis voilà, on s'est prises dans les bras et on s'est touchés, on a pleuré.
It was a good moment. It was a good moment. It was a triumphant moment.
Il paraît qu'on est resté très longtemps, mais j'ai pas vraiment le sens du temps. Et mon mari est venu, il nous a tapé sur l'épaule et il a dit « Allez les girls, on y va ». Puis on est rentré à la maison.
We had survived lies. We had survived betrayals. And it was all good now.
It has been 20 years now since my mother was reborn. The puzzle was finally completed. But between the village of Cuy and the city of angels, the ocean is wide, and my little family had to deal with this new reality. As Else said, it was all good now. After all, they had already accomplished the unthinkable. They had confounded their destinies, torn into shreds a script that was forced on them in 1937 to write a new one, their own.
You know, you have to cut where they're 5.
I know.
You know this?
You don't need all that.
Wait.
They will be
Leave
stronger.
it, leave it. Let it dry and it gets very light.
put them there.
Otherwise you will hurt your little fingers.
I will put them there where it's...
Wait.
Oh, you have to tell the call when you call my father.
Oh, yeah.
Eric.
Good story. I wait till Thanksgiving Day of that year, 84,
When you came back.
when I came back. Dialed his number. This is Else. And I said, Eric, I have some wonderful news. You remember the baby? She's not dead. She's alive. She lives in Switzerland. She has sons, grown sons. Everybody plays all the instruments. Silence. Long silence. Eric, are you there? How can you do this to me? How can you drop the atom bomb on my life? Drop the atom bomb on my little atom bomb.
C'était comme ça.
And when he found out that she didn't want anything, it was all right.
J'ai invité ma sœur Erika aussi à venir en Suisse. And it was very easy. I like her, I love her. We have a really good relationship. Elsa is there between us. She's our mother, but I don't feel at all jealousy or competition.
And we went to see my mother at the home where she lived, very fancy. We thought she knew something about the abduction, about did the baby live, did the baby die? And I said, did you know whether it was dead or alive? And she said, you told me. You told me it was dead when you came back from Switzerland, which is of course true. That's the information that I had. So whether she knew it from me, whether she was an active member of this abduction, I don't know. I'm not angry anymore. They could have done it different because I was a child. And it would have been nice if you somehow catered to your children more than what the other people say, which was really the sickness of that generation. Oh, what will the people say? Oh my God, she's pregnant. Oh my God, we're ruined. They were ruined, but not by my pregnancy. There was Hitler. When we first hugged each other, it was such a personal relief that motherhood had nothing to do with it. It was the end of drama, the end of shame, the end of accusation, the end of migraines. Voila. Go, baby. Go, baby. Are you purring?
A little bit.
Oh, you
Le premier matin, je l'ai trouvée au bord du lac. Et j'ai dit, ça te plaît? Elle m'a dit, oui, c'est là que j'aimerais finir mes jours. Elle était décidée, ça lui plaisait, elle n'avait jamais pris de vacances. Elle avait 64 ans, elle voulait faire une retraite. Elle voulait que je trouve une maison. J'ai dit que c'était pas si facile que ça. Mais pour finir, on a trouvé. Elle habite à quelques mètres de moi, très organisée, ses promenades, son yoga. J'étais son enfant, je redevenais son enfant, je lui donnais l'occasion d'être maman encore une fois. Et puis, elle a retrouvé un ancien ami avec qui elle a renoué une relation amoureuse. Cet homme est venu souvent la voir ici, c'était David Wayne, c'était un acteur de cinéma.
Many people would come during this time. Everybody would visit me. They came, the Maltons, they all came. They wanted to smell happiness, and we had it.
For 7 years, the house by the lake was filled with all of Hollywood. Actors, composers, directors, producers. They all wanted to see what a happy ending looked like in the flesh and blood. Reality and fiction were merging, until the day reality demanded its due.
But David died. My cat died.
Elle a décidé de partir. Je suis arrivée chez elle, j'ai trouvé les valises ouvertes. J'étais très surprise, ça a été très très rapide. Et là, elle m'a dit, je dois retourner là-bas. Et je la sentais vraiment en dépression, elle n'était pas bien du tout.
Why she came back, I don't know. I know that we missed her, and I know that to a degree she missed us. She missed LA, she missed her life here. My feeling about that is that she lived here from age, what, 17, 18, whatever it was when she came over in 37 or 38, I've forgotten now when, and made an entire life here, had a child here, had a career here, and then had this event happen to her where another part of her life opened up. I think for someone like her, who, as I said before, her maternal instincts are more global than they are specific. That's my feeling about it. I think she is a better mother to a group of people than she is to one.
The baby, the cute little cuddly baby, is a physical need. And I was deprived of it. The body was deprived of it. Eventually the head. And so I am mother to many. It's catching up. It's not the generosity that you would like to attribute to it. It's not. It's tell me where it hurts. And then they tell you. And then you don't know what to say.
Else is not interested in the family. You know, you can't change a person if she has no love for her family. She's got enormous love for her friends.
Because maybe she can choose who her friends are.
You can always choose your friends, but you can't choose your family. That's very true. And that's what she did. She only likes people in show business.
She's got a weakness for actors. She's always fallen for them. And I think because actors walk the line between the facade and the reality, and that's exactly where she wants to be.
Elsa lets you into her life, the private part of her life, so fully. She includes you so completely. That's why we say mother, but it's relation. There's a capacity to be related, which is intoxicating. The privilege of knowing Elsa at this point in my life. This is very important to me in my life. I also feel found by Elsa.
After hearing all these sentiments, things were very clear to my mother and me. Elsa had a second family, a family she had chosen years ago in Hollywood. Perhaps by finding us, she had also found Europe and a painful past. Why retrace your steps? An American woman turns westward at the end of the day. We loved her. We love her still. But we needed to let her exist and to leave her what she cherishes most, her freedom.
On avait peut-être besoin de se séparer à ce moment-là. Je ne mettrais pas tout sur le compte de Hollywood ou sur de sa carrière et de sa vie là-bas ou même de sa langue. Je crois qu'elle est retournée là-bas parce que c'est là qu'elle avait fait sa vie. Moi, je suis restée là parce que c'est là que j'ai fait ma vie et que c'était une séparation en fait qui était naturelle. Elle a comblé son vide, la perte de cet enfant mort, Et moi, j'ai retrouvé une mère, une femme exceptionnelle qui était la réponse au mystère de mon histoire.
I'm convinced that there is a puppeteer in the sky, and we're all on long threads. Sometimes they pull you where it's not so good, sometimes they pull you where it's really good. The rest of the time they're busy with the other threads. It's a puppeteer.
Lonely days are long. Sunrise sings a song of the happiness that used to be. I'll see you in my dreams. Hold